It started literally with myself, supported by my wife, and that was it. I left the ambulance service after 35 years, and I was still only 53, and I thought, I can't do nothing. I had been responsible, whilst in the ambulance service, for, in fact, for the whole of the control, but included in that was the doctor's answer service. And it was already beginning to, having my absence, it began to fold.
Dad decided to take early retirement on health grounds. Travelling to and from Tiverton each day was probably not his best, not the best plan at the time. And he took the paging side of the doctor's answering service under his wing. He had contracts with Vodafone Paging, at the time quite in its infancy and a new business starting out. So he took that over. At the time also he had a junior doctor that was looking for a telephone answering service, who came to Dad and said, could this be done? So Dad said, yeah, we can do that, we can start you off. So he literally started off in his kitchen, 2 telephones in the kitchen, 1 GP, and quite a few of the doctors in the county using pages. So two separate businesses that they combined the 2 together.
We started with 1 GP in the very beginning. He was on call one night in 6 and 1 weekend in 6. Of course, because there was a chance that we might get personal calls on the telephone during that time that we were taking his calls, I had to get a second phone in. So we got the second phone on the same number, and it went from there. And that phone, those phones were in the kitchen, and at night the bedroom was just opposite side of the hall. So if the phone rang at night, I got out, went to the phone, answered it, dealt with it, called the doctor. In those days, all the doctors were on pagers, and we would page the doctor. He would ring back for the message, and that was it.
And can I take your name?
Eventually, from moving from the kitchen to a converted bedroom, and then as the word spread, it went from the converted bedroom into the loft upstairs. And so the doctor's answering service, as it was then, and Gwenver and Paging were one business, and off it went. To the extent that in the end we had about 90% of the doctors in the county. We had doctor services in Devon, and we'd spread into Somerset as well. Well, following the doctors, the advent of doctors co-ops, formerly Kernodoc, we were involved in the setup of that, but obviously most of our business disappeared overnight as that started. We looked around, or they looked around at the time, and thought, well, what can be done? And at that stage we had a couple of veterinary surgeries that we covered locally. I thought, well, the model that we've used for doctors could be used for vets. So the next step was to how do we get this information in? Bearing in mind that we'd lost all our income because the doctors moved off. So £1,000 was scraped together, or about £1,000 was scraped together. A database was bought, and a mail shot was sent, literally handwritten mail shot at the time, was sent to about 1,000 vets up and down the country. From that, we had a few vets come back to us, and it just spread. That model worked, and it spread again by word of mouth.
My first job actually was a summer job, just doing the typing the labels up for the flyers to be sent out to potential veterinary clients. I did it as a summer job for a few pennies, I think £2 an hour. And that was my first introduction to working for my granddad at the time. After that, I officially joined the company in 1997, while still at college, just for a bit of weekend work in between playing football and working on a Saturday morning and Saturday evening, and that's how I started, and gone from there ever since. I remember it being an entity, as in it was part of the family's life. My bedroom was actually situated above the actual office for a period of time in the loft. I think that was after the company downsized a little bit. So, it was always around, and I even did the odd bit of training back in the day for the doctor's calls.
With the advent of Conadoc, both Dad and I went to work for Conadoc because we didn't have any income. My brother and my mum kept the business going. Found it quite difficult to commuting from where Andrew lived in Redruth, so they literally moved the business down to Redruth, to my brother's property.
Originally, we started off with pen and paper, taking the information down on paper, and then passing it to the originally the doctors. We had initially one telephone, and then as it sort of built, we had a small telephone system that took on a number of small lines, and we were as it built, we were writing the information up on 4 foot by 3 foot boards, whiteboards, so that everybody could actually see who was on duty, what the information, and how to contact them. Then, as telephone systems improved, we started having information coming up on the screen of the telephone. But again, that sort of moved on into having to use computers, and because the information wasn't always necessarily correct, or not enough information was actually on the phone, so it popped up on the screen. We had software sort of built in to create it to pop up, and all the information that we were taking, because there was no beginning to sort of build up a lot, we were entering the information after we'd taken the calls onto a spreadsheet, but they were individual spreadsheets on individual computers. So it was taking me sort of at the end of each month then several hours to collate them all together. And one day my son Michael, he was about 15 years old at the time, was in the office, saw what I was doing, and said he could actually create a database that would put all that information together for me, so I wouldn't have to take all that time to do it. So I said, okay, let's give it a go and see what happens. And within a few weeks, he had it up and running on all the computers, and saved me a lot of time collating it all. So we then started asking questions. Well, if you can make it do that, can it do this? And his standard answer was always, well, maybe. And then he would go away, and usually within a few minutes, maybe sort of a couple of hours, he would come back and say, it's done.
As then it started to expand again, and Dad left Conadoc and went back to our business, if you like. He obviously found the commuting to and fro Redruth to Truro difficult, so the business was moved back to Truro again, back into the loft space, and we stayed there for a period of time until we outgrew that, and then found some premises at Scoria House, converted barns, and we moved into there. Eventually, the office next to us became free, so we took that on. At the time, it was quite an expensive thing to do. We ended up the company ended up really on its last legs almost, to the point of insolvency. At that stage, we had our accountant, a client of ours actually, an accountant came to us, and we went to him. We'd had a bad experience with a previous accountant, left us in a bad way. He looked at our books, came gave us a stern talking to and told us we needed to sort of improve our prices and our work rate. And for the following 12 months, we were from almost being insolvent to making a profit the following year rather. Sorry. We then became solvent and profitable, and it's just gone from there. We then managed to fill the other room with staff to the point where we could actually use both rooms at times. And then the property that we're at now at Carnbray became available. And we decided to purchase it and move into there. And moving on from that, the property next door then became available as well. So we've done the same thing again and purchased that. So we now have a whole new office to expand into.
Simon's sort of taken over the role that I had in the communication side, the networking, the computers, and seems to be expanding sort of that into other fields by the sounds of it. So he's become sort of quite taken over my role basically, which has meant that I've been able to get on and do things that I want to do. So Kevin's other sons, I mean, obviously Anthony's one of the directors and pushing it forward, but Steve and Sam are both senior managers within the company and got key roles with running the business as well. So it's certainly a family business and the third generation now, which means it's going well and the future's looking quite bright.
I generally enjoy my job. I like working with different people. I've always been able to connect very well with the staff. I'm happy to do and always been, starting from every job within the work, I've done every position that's been here in place. So, I can sit down the front and I can answer telephones with the staff, etc. And just dealing with different people. Also, your customers, every day's different. It's exciting, especially as now the company's growing. We've got so many opportunities to go and do different things, lots of hands and lots of pies, and you really don't know where you're going from one day to the next. It's just exciting at the moment.
Well, it speaks for itself, really. You've just got to see them there and see them doing the work and obviously happier in their job, and it's brilliant.
It's we're a family-based business, so we like to obviously keep it professional, but we're one big family, basically, one big family. Look after each other, and the future's bright. The future's green.
Good morning, Phoneta, Andrew speaking. Can I help?
Phoneta, Laverne speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Phoneta, Anthony speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Phoneta, Kevin speaking. Can I help you?